Yo,
sir.
yo, yo.
Yes, sir. We're back. 026. I'm in pain. Sixers, Hotz, Streamers. Oh, I just had the thing in the background. Sorry, I couldn't even tell that actually the thing was already on YouTube. So I was like, oh,
You're good.
right now, or are we like not actually live right now? But welcome back.
You're good.
Hotz Heads Dreamers. We're here. It's a late one for Hotz on the East Coast. Appreciate him getting up for this. And yeah, it's a painful night for us Yankee fans. That was a tough game to watch right there, honestly. And we'll get into it in a second. But Hotz, how you feeling, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Halloween tomorrow, or right now, I guess, actually. We're up late. It's all, or on the East Coast at least. We're getting into it. Obviously, there's only one place to start, and that is Deontay Johnson to the Ravens. How crazy? No, I'm just kidding. Get into it, man. Last time we talked, we were previewing the World Series, and I'll let you wax poetic, and I'll chime in when you're done.
Yeah, so good series, I guess, for the Yankees in the World Series. Not really. Lose a gentleman's sweep on home turf. It's tough. Felt like they lost to just a couple players. It didn't even feel like Shohei had his best stuff in this series. He was clearly injured. Hadn't really had a home run in the last, 30 at-bats or so, dating back to maybe a series with the Mets. So, it was really just a lot of small ball, broken bats, sack flies, just toughing it out, catching the ball through the fans, and these fans that are Bush League trying to pull the ball out of Mookie's glove, So, like a lot of emotions with the Yankees. Obviously, it's just too late. You can't give a team a 3-0 lead like the Dodgers. There's just no way. You're not going to beat them 4 times before they beat you once. No matter if we won tonight. I was saying this to Christy. I was like, there's just no way. Like, you cannot give a team like the Dodgers a 3-0 lead. 2-0 is one thing, but 3-0 and they only need one more to win the series. Like, it's insurmountable. So, shouts to them, their pitchers, Walker Buehler, unbelievable comeback story, and then coming in right there as a closer and shutting the door. So, kudos to them. I like a lot of their players, to be honest. I don't have hate for them like I would maybe if it was like the Orioles or whatever the fuck. So whatever. But not a great showing from the Yankees overall. I'd love to hear your thoughts though as a Mets fan.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a Mets
fan,
like
you would have beat us?
I mean, I don't know. Who knows, man? It's hard to say. But I think as a Mets fan, first and foremost, as a true blue Mets fan, I've been a Mets fan about 25 plus years now, die hard, live and die with the team. And I hate the Braves. I hate the Phillies. I don't necessarily have hatred for the Yankees. I understand they're from the same city. There's a crosstown rivalry baked in. But sure. I've never been fuck the Yankees, Did I get sick of the shit when they were really, really good, late 90s, early 2000s? Of course, it was tough to be on the other side of that as, the guy in town who was losing. But at the same time, like I said, I don't consider the Yankees a rivalry with the Mets. The Yankees and Red Sox are a rivalry. The Mets and the Braves are a rivalry, and I have a ton of Yankee fans friends, so I was pulling for them. But, the Dodgers are just a great team, man. And I think the first thing you mentioned was sack flies, broken bat hits, this and that. And it's the Dodgers don't give opposing pitchers anything.
Nothing.
And that's not in the sense of mashing teams where you make a mistake and it's gone. It's in a sense of if it's outside the zone, they're not going to chase. If it's inside the zone but not perfect, they'll foul it off until they get their pitch. They're just so difficult to chop through that lineup inning by inning by inning by inning without having some crooked numbers put on you. The next thing I want to mention is obviously we want to give some credit to the Dodgers, and Dave Roberts, I feel pushed all the right buttons, being hamstringed by some pitching injuries, throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, the bullpen games, without doing too much burnout when they were getting killed by the Mets, going Brent Honeywell for 3 straight innings just to eat innings. When they were getting killed by the Yankees last night, just throwing, again, Honeywell out there for 40 plus pitches.
That was good for them, only because they didn't have to waste really pitchers, they kind of just let the game get out.
That's what I'm saying. It's a masterful management of when you're going to have to use your bullpen a ton.
You punt the game.
They did it to the Mets, too, the same exact method. Whenever the game was out of hand, they would throw in those guys and not just throw them in, but let them pitch 40 plus pitches like they did last night with Landon Knack, Honeywell, and it came to a point tonight where if the game got to extra innings, they might be
would have had to use those guys again. I'm sure Walker would have won extended innings. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. They probably just would have burnt Buehler out and then just been like, let everyone get a day of rest, get back to LA down 3-2, worst case scenario if we can't go score some runs. But all in all, I think Dave Roberts literally was like living on the edge with this, but he had no other choice but to, and really manufactured it very, very well with limited pitching.
Yeah, Trinan was unreal. I mean, he played, painful. It's
Trinan, another long line of former A's who they just like let go in Oakland just to like
unbelievable.
It's crazy that
like
team
a professional farm system is what they are, and everyone
they're a feeder league to the rest of the MLB.
Marlins are another one I feel like is like that, some of these teams. But it's painful. I mean, I feel like the Yankees definitely, like, looking at the games and watching these last couple games, it felt like more than ever we really could have beat this team if we really had Judge there earlier, and like if things were like, it feels like we left it out there. Like we really had a good chance this year. Shohei was hurt. Their pitching staff is not all together. They had to do a bullpen game. Like it just felt like we had an opportunity here to get a ring, and it stings. And it feels like if they had won tonight in real fashion, 6-1 maybe, and after they got the 6th run and like whatever, and they ended up winning that way and went to Los Angeles, you never know. Like maybe Carlos Rodon pitches a gem and they force a game 7 out of nowhere. So it's like, feels like it was right there, but also it wasn't at all.
All right, so I think like we're speaking generally on the series now. I think maybe one last point to make was that, up until the previous game, the first 3 games of the series, the Yankees really didn't hit at all, which is shocking to be like that going into the series. What I was saying was, I think both teams will hit, but it'll come down to the bottom order. It came down to the bottom of both orders, but the Yankees didn't hit, and the Dodgers hit maybe less than I expected also. But it did come down to, the Tommy Edmonds, the Max Muncy's getting on base when they needed to, obviously before that grand slam. Yeah, before that grand slam. And then obviously on the Yankee side, Volpe with the grand slam, Verdugo with the big hits, like if you look at the box score from last night, the one game the Yankees won, it was Verdugo, Volpe, all the guys. And then between Judge, Soto, and Stanton, it was like 2 for 12 with a couple walks, to be fair.
But that's batting practice. Again, like we're going against their C and D, relievers. They're talking the game at some point there. So some of that stuff that's happening in those later innings, like Glaber's only hit in the entire series, I believe, was the home run in those later innings facing that guy. I think that's his only hit for the entire series. I'm not even kidding you. Coming into the game, he was like 0 of 9, I think it was, with 3 walks. I think I said to the chat. And then so game 4 happened. I don't think he got a hit, and he was 0 of 4 again tonight, I believe. And then he had the home run in last game. So,
he got on base in the last 13 playoff games, they said. So I know, like you're saying, like one
walk.
Right.
Yeah, he was definitely like a guy, but his hitting definitely took a
We got Danny in the chat right now talking about, the game 1 grand slam. I was thinking once we spoke on generalities, we could kind of go, game by game, but I guess this will get us started off into that good transition. I agree that was a huge moment. Obviously, walking Betts to get to Freeman, bringing in Nestor. There's a lot of things that go into this one pivotal play. And then, of course, Freddie Freeman, first pitch, taking off. But just to Danny's point, quick, you can have a devastating play happen to you in game 1.
Right.
If you are a championship team, you have to be able to shrug that off and come out and, win the next game, or not be, you can't let a game 1 loss, even as the most devastating loss that could happen, ruin your whole series. If you're a championship medal team, if that one play is going to ruin the next, the rest of the games of the series, then you didn't deserve to be a World Series champion to begin with.
I mean, in general, though, the path that they had to make the World Series was very towards their favor, I would say. Some of the teams that have had their number, they didn't have to see, such as Houston and Baltimore. So, it definitely felt like the stars aligned this year for them to be able to go get a ring. And then you add on Shohei's injury and like the way Freeman was coming into the series limber. I just felt like we really let this go. And Judge was not hitting until that third game. And then he looked great tonight. I mean, he definitely, if the series kept going, I'm sure Judge was ready to go. And that's unfortunate that he didn't really, get going in time. But it really felt like you said, a lot of the bottom of the lineup for the Yankees really didn't come to play. The Yankees pitching was there. Some of these random guys like Mark Leiter, like we talked about in chat, like, bro, this guy came out of nowhere and was pitching great for us. It's tough, yeah. I mean, Boone, it's a guy like, I feel like with Boone, we can talk about the lineup a lot, how they moved Stanton, how they didn't move Stanton, didn't move Judge down when he wasn't hitting and shit. I was writing that in the chat. I feel like people were talking about that.
I'll rebuttal to that briefly. It's like you go to the dance with who you took there. If you mixing up the lineup in the World Series to be like, okay, he's not playing well, it's not a formula for success. It's just going to crush someone's confidence who's probably already down.
Move him to 4 and move Stanton to the 3.
I mean,
might be crushing.
I just think that it shows panic. That's what it looks like to me. If you're changing a lineup that was the best lineup in baseball, debatably, for the whole season, or at least the second half.
Second best lineup.
At least the second half of the season,
yeah.
mashing. And you're just like, oh, man, we're down 2-0. We got to switch the lineup now. It's kind of a crazy move to me. If it works, then it's a brilliant move, to be fair. But it's just like, all right, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it sticks. It's like, you can't be dependent on making big time changes with, the season hanging in the balance. That being said, I do believe that Boone bringing in Nestor Cortez is a very questionable move.
Over Tim Hill is a little weird, for sure.
I mean, he got Ohtani out, and that was before injured Ohtani, who was an automatic out unless you fucking catcher interference or walk him. After he got hurt, he couldn't. Blunder. I mean, that's a blunder. That's more like that happens once every 20 baseball games.
Timing for that. Like, what the fuck was that? How many games would you ever see that in a season?
It's more of a random thing than like an error in the field. It just happens every once in a blue moon in a baseball game. But then obviously, it led to him getting on base when he could have been that easy out because of his injury. So that was a tough spot there for Wells.
The whole inning felt like I was watching like fucking paint dry. It was just fucking pain, dude. It was just.
But yeah, like I said, let's go back to game by game. So we're going like 1-4. But game
let's
one,
go to game two. Go to game two.
Okay. So but real quick, I think game one, the Nestor decision was Nestor / walking bets to get to Freeman. I know Freeman is banged up, blah, blah, blah. And real quick, because I just don't want to forget, going into this series last episode, you were like, is Freeman playing? And I was like, he's been playing this whole time. And I realized it was like wishful thinking. You like really wanted Freeman to not be playing.
It's not even
clearly.
This guy is
fucking, what happened.
Yeah.
All right, so game two.
That whip of a swing is just filthy, man. The way he swings the bat is just... He's a fucking animal.
He's terrorized the Mets for years and then still did, after he got traded, but or signed, whatever happened. But so game two, what are your pivotal moments for game two?
Obviously the end, of course, the call against Glaber felt like we were juicing right there. In the last inning, we already had a run in and it was 4-2. And then that call against Glaber to strike out, that was tough. So and then Soto would have came up there. I feel like we were getting going there a little bit. Once again, another game where we barely hit. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we had 4 hits. It's not going to cut it. So
that's
not hitting baseball.
That's clearly a memorable high pitch that was called strike, which was just a little crazy. And then just to recant this whole the umpires were bad both ways the whole series, especially at home plate. Obviously. Because I remember that pitch and I remember the inning before. I didn't want to write in the group chat because everyone's a Yankee fan, so I'm not going to just well, what about this? But I'm saying it on the podcast, being a fair, big J journalist that I am, I gotta call it how I see it. The inning before, there was a fucking nasty Gratterall sinker that was basically landed dead center. In the strike zone, not down the middle, but at the top. But it wasn't right at the top. It wasn't painting the top. It was dead center.
I don't remember. I almost remember him catching it across the frame a little bit.
The
Just a little
full
bit.
baseball was like underneath the line, and
Yeah.
it was dead center, and they called it a ball. And I'm just like, they're just like not on it right now. And some of that
Missing.
comes out to better pitching in the playoffs, and that
Yeah.
like it's harder to see these guys pitches off the hand.
Game 3,
But
I think, was a good ump, if I remember correctly. But maybe that was the game with the fucking labor shit. I might be confusing because they both were 4-2. I just remember the score being 4-2, so maybe I'm wrong.
no, I think you might be right. But either way, the
I'm right.
umping was a little interesting. I think you're right also.
No, bottom of the 7th, Gleyber Torres struck out looking. Yeah, this is it. When they had first and second. Yeah, it was Soto coming up. That was nuts. And then Soto led off the bottom of the 8th. Yeah, that was.
So that was game 3?
That was game 3.
Okay. So we skipped game 2. Oh well.
We skipped game 2. So game 2 was the game where Yankees got one in the 9th by Giancarlo getting a single and driving in Soto.
But Yamamoto started for the Dodgers.
Back-to-back, Tasker, Freddie.
Yeah. So Yamamoto started for the Dodgers that game.
Right. Soto went deep early, too, in that game.
And that's something I also talked about before the series was that, Dodgers starters weren't going deep into games against the Mets for the whole playoffs, basically. I think they got 6+ out of Flaherty game 1, 5+ out of Yamamoto game 2, and then 5+, maybe even 6 out of Buehler game 3.
Yeah.
Which just like is the formula to make it really tough to beat them.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah. As
what was unhittable tonight? It's so frustrating as a Yankee fan watching that, man. And like, I was like talking to Chrissy about what runs versus earned runs mean, and like we were talking about it because that's like in like stats within stats.
Yeah.
She give a shit, but I was talking to her about it. I was like, this is the difference. Like, this is the shit that's just like painful. If you're a starter, like you have a 5 under R and 0 under ER. That's just like, what the fuck, man. So
yeah, no, I mean that inning was tough, especially because the bases get loaded on the Volpe and Judge mistake, and then Garrett Cole digs deep, strikes out, Lux and Ohtani back to back to get to 2 outs. Obviously, Mookie Betts is never an easy out, and you get a play where you can get him out, and it's ruled as a hit, in the box score, but watching it, it could have been an out, maybe should have been an out, and it's tough to harp on it, but it's also tough to be like, you want to think Cole needs to hustle more to first base, Rizzo needs to, do this or that, but at the same time, Cole's tired. He's out there gunning it, gassing, giving everything he got to get the outs at home, and then
personally, it was like Rizzo was slow to the ball. That was my first glance. Saw that. I saw that Cole didn't cover either, so he's also just as culpable. But it looked like Rizzo was kind of slow with it.
Yeah, I mean, you as a first baseman, I feel like you always want to attack and run to first base if you can,
angle,
which is
or that the ball comes in. Like, he kind of like sat back and waited for it to roll in his fucking glove.
Yeah, because you got to think, like, even if the pitcher does cover the toss, he drops it. Like, it's always safer to just pick it and run to first and tap it with your foot. But at the same time, Mookie Betts is fast, like, you don't want to risk that either. So it's a tough spot to be in. It's
right guy, right time, always. Mookie, the fucking sack fly. The guy's like going up there to hit a sack fly. You can almost tell. First pitch, it's like, boom, I'm not going to play your games. I'm just going to hit it to center, take our run, and shut your fucking mouth. Like, thank you. Guy's in such control all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. They have 3 MVPs to start the lineup. Every time they reset the lineup, they got 3 MVPs coming up. And even, I think honestly, Ohtani getting hurt like opens the door proverbially for the Yankees. Like where, all right, 3-0, we're saying it's insurmountable. Obviously, it's only ever happened before to the Yankees against the Red Sox with Dave Roberts getting a steal to spark it. The now Dodgers manager. It's all comes full circle. But it is crazy to think that once Ohtani got hurt, I was like, man, that kind of could give them a door. Like their leadoff hitter, they're not going to take him out. And their leadoff hitter is significantly hampered. And it goes from being one of the biggest weapons in baseball to one of the biggest detriments. Basically, I think they said like 2 of 19 in the World Series total, so. But it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in. I think that 5th inning was just kind of – I mean, Judge needs to catch the fucking ball.
Year, it was a culmination of the Yankees all year. For the record, in terms of errors and in terms of just sloppy play, this shit has happened with the Yankees constantly all year. I know that they finished first and all this shit, but they do not play clean defense. They haven't played clean defense for years, for the record. They're not like a clean. Multiple positions will either lead the league or be in the top 3 in their position for errors. Like, they're just, besides Judge, maybe, I guess, that was such an anomaly. I've never seen that from him.
Yeah, ever. That's a lot like the catcher's interference one, where it's like less of like a miscalculation. It is, but it isn't. But what I'm trying to say is, like, it's less of a bad play versus his bad luck. You know, like, it's almost like a bad, like, that's going to happen once in a 1,000 plays for Aaron Judge, and happen in the World Series. Like, that catcher's interference is going to happen once in 1,000 pitches, and it happens in the World Series, or not once in 10,000 pitches, and it happens in the World Series.
It's going to be everywhere in regards to what started the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's going to kill him.
I mean, Garrett Cole, to be fair, he was excellent tonight. He really was.
So good.
He was excellent tonight, and he gave them a chance. You know, he even came out after that 5th inning and got 5 more outs. You know, all the 6th inning, and then 2 outs in the 7th. So, you know, got a lot of credit to Garrett Cole. It's tough. I mean,
It's tough.
Yeah, we could talk day and night about it. I know it's tough to talk right after it. I appreciate you.
Fucking Yankees.
You know. Yeah, we're fans at the end of the day. You know, we do our best to be Big J journalists.
I'll be back next year. We'll be back next year.
That's how it goes, bro.
Hey, Soto, hang around with us, yo. Come back. We're trying to
last but not least, the Dodgers are fucking good, deserving.
Yeah, Dodgers are incredible.
Champions.
Never seen. I mean, just perfect glue guys with all-star glue guys, and, like, you know, just weapons all up and down that lineup, and just guys that play their position well. Muncy always making plays at third, just guys that play their position. Oscar, the beat.
I already mentioned Dave Roberts, but Dave Roberts managing the bullpen themselves pitching as well as they had, and then, you know, obviously
good
the management.
You know,
adding Tommy Edman at the deadline, you know, they deserved it this year, you know.
For sure.
And, they had a homer tonight in the NLCS MVP, you know, like, they might not even be in the World Series without Tommy Edman.
That's right.
All right, we'll move past this, and we'll get into the Hotz corner.
That's the Yankees,
you know, but great season, Yankees back in the World Series for the first time since 2009. You know, now no longer have the Mets been in the World Series more recently than the Yankees. At least you can hang your head.
By the way, this is my take. If the Yankees played the way they just played against the Dodgers, against the Mets, we would have lost to you guys.
I mean, the Mets obviously won 2 games against the Dodgers. The Yankees won 1. There's, like, the old school math about it, but also just in the sense of the Mets lost the first.
There's no way.
The Mets lost the first game 9-0 or 8-0 and came back and won the next one, you know, off the rip, came out in the first inning. Lindor led off with a home run. The Mets had more fight against the Dodgers than the Yankees did. I'll say that.
I agree. I wouldn't fight you.
Yeah. The Mets showed more fight, more heart. And almost in the same way that Dave Roberts managed the Dodgers, you know, I can't really, like, I have his face in my head right now, but Carlos Mendoza, the Mets manager, Carlos Mendoza, I couldn't think of his name for a second. Carlos Mendoza managed the Mets when they got blown out to just say, fuck it, sorry, Tyler Megill, you're pitching the last 3 innings and getting smoked, and we're going to come back with a full arsenal tomorrow. And they got another win, and they went down 3-1, got another win, but, you know, at the end of the day, the Dodgers just overwhelmed them, much like they did the Yankees. But I do genuinely believe that, not because I'm a Mets fan, but just objectively. No,
it's just the way that they responded within the series made it 1-1. Like, you know, like, just the way their team went about it. I feel like as well, they jumped on them. Like, it felt like every game, the Dodgers were jumping on us every game. And I don't care if it was the same guy, whatever. If it's the same guy, I don't give a fuck. It can't be then. You have to figure it out. You can't throw an outside fastball. You can't throw a fastball to Freddie. Just throw junk. And if he walks, let him walk. Can't run.
In the games the Mets won, they went up early, and then the Dodgers would push back, but then they'd get more insurance runs, which is what the Yankees didn't do tonight.
Absolutely.
They got 5 runs in the first 3 innings, and then the rest of the game they scored 1 on a sac fly. Like, no more big hits after that. Like, to beat the Dodgers consistently, even the Mets who ended up losing, they would have to score 8, 9, 10 runs. Like that's how you beat the Dodgers, which is very, very hard to do against a good Dodgers bullpen. Good, especially when they get good starting like they did in this series, early in the series. Flaherty, obviously, tonight wasn't great, but he was great in game 1. Yamamoto was great in game 2.
Justin
was
Roberts
great in game 3.
The fuck out of him. Like after an inning and a half, he was like, you know what, fuck you, dude. Like if you don't want to, you're not here today. Moving on.
Yeah, and that's how like again, he managed brilliantly. He's earned a lot of respect, for me. Like I used to not think he was a good manager. I think I
don't like him, obviously, as a Yankee fan. I hate him.
Yeah.
Part of the Boston.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, the way he managed, he managed this playoffs was very, very good. All right, moving on. Let's go. So right into the Hotz corner. First question: most heartbreaking sports moment as a fan.
Not good. Heartbreaking. Probably the Deshaun Jackson play.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Better fictional quarterback name: Cap Rooney or Shane Falco?
Rooney's a good one. That's a great name. I go with Shane Falco. Has more pop.
What is more embarrassing: tripping and falling hard in a crowded room, or farting loudly in an elevator?
Well, other people in the elevator?
Yeah. In a full elevator or a full crowded room? Good question.
Okay. Falling or farting? Ooh. I would say farting's worse. So tripping and falling is what was the question?
What's worse? So farting is worse.
Farting, I'd say, is definitely worse.
What 2 teams will be in the 2024-2025 season NBA Finals?
Here. Nick. Austin and Denver. Yeah.
All right. Funniest Will Ferrell acting performance / role.
I'm switching to Dallas. Austin and Dallas.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Repeat that one, please.
Funniest Will Ferrell acting performance / role.
Oh, that's a good one. There's so many good ones. The Wedding Crashers side role is incredible. I'll probably just say Ron Burgundy because in classic, so good. Yeah.
Good one. All right. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of San Diego Chargers?
Okay. LaDainian Tomlinson. Junior Seau. Antonio Gates. And I guess you'd have to say Phillip Rivers.
Who is your favorite rapper in Dipset?
I do like Joel's a lot. Obviously, he's got pop, but I like Cameron mostly. I like Cam for me.
What call in sports that you can't currently review do you think should be reviewable?
Strike 3.
If you could have a beer with a current New York Giant, who are you drinking with?
Current New York Giant?
Yeah, current New York Giant.
Tyrone Tracy Jr.
All right. What is the best weapon that existed before gunpowder?
Bow and arrow.
All right. Let's get to the top. Most heartbreaking sports moment as a fan. I was kind of seeing if you'd play the recency bias card, but you went back to, the miracle at the Meadowlands too, Deshaun Jackson. You were probably screaming punted out of bounds or something along those lines like Tom Coughlin was. I remember that game so
Dodge
vividly.
Punter. Dodge is the name of the punter, I believe.
Matt Dodge.
No.
But I remember that game so vividly because it was the same season as when Auburn came back against Alabama and they were 28-0 at halftime.
Davis returned that up the sideline, that shit?
No, not the kick six, but it was Cam Newton was the quarterback and they came back and won. But that same season, so earlier that happened and my friend Guy was like, there's no chance. I'm like, you never know. And that same basically moment happened in that Giants game when they were up 21 in the fourth quarter with
Right.
like I want to say 12 minutes left. He's like, there's no way they win. I'm like, I don't know, this Vic Eagles offense, Deshaun Jackson, Macklin,
Never know.
LaShawn McCoy, they're explosive. Like they could get big plays fast. I think
Right.
their season started on Monday Night Football with a bomb to Deshaun Jackson
That's
from
right.
Vic, like 75 yards.
Yeah,
So,
start the season.
you
Yep,
know,
first play.
thinking about that game, I think Vic ran for one, like as the first touchdown, then they scored again. And obviously that whole situation is crazy that they came down to like the Eagles had a timeout to stop the clock with 12 seconds where they had to punt.
Mhm.
And he drops it at first, and then maybe guys start to collapse when he drops it and like
He
lose
just tried to get it
lane
away quick.
responsibility or whatever, and then he picks it up and he is gone. And then he does the thing to like run out the clock, like where he's like you're in Madden where you like run down the line to try to kill the last few seconds. Crazy.
This one, I would say, D'Lo's right too. Probably the 0-1 Luis Gonzalez game-winning hit off Mariano. That was rough.
That's what I was gonna say has to be it. That was game 7. Like even this game, like they still had to win. Like you said, they still had an insurmountable comeback to finish, even if they won tonight. That game was like that was game 7
last year too. That kid with the braids that hit
Nemhard,
nice ball. That is just like that one hurt too against the Knicks.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of the Pacers in Boston tonight. I mean, we're gonna get into the Celtics later with your finals preview. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Towns.
I'm glad you brought it up on your own. The Diamondbacks, because that has to be it. That's a Yankee, Knicks, Rangers, Giants fan. That has to be it. But Giants, that obviously that's more like a shock than a heartbreak.
Right. Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next question. Better fictional quarterback name, Cap Rooney or Shane Falco? And I'm gonna check you right now. Don't be offended, but do you know who Cap Rooney is or what movie he's from?
Any Given Sunday, is that Dennis Quaid?
Yeah. Good call.
Okay.
Good call.
I thought it was for like I was like confident, and then you were asking me about
I
it.
thought you knew, but I was just like, let me just make sure.
Everyone only knows that movie for the quarterback of Willie Beeman. So yeah, Willie Beeman.
Yeah. I got a few. Got a few Hotz Corner questions based on fictional athlete names. So
Yeah.
this was the first of a few, I'll say. I mean, Shane Falco is a great name.
Yeah, I mean, it just pops. It just has like probably the name of a quarterback, but it definitely is third string in the NFL. You know what I mean when I say that? It sounds like a quarterback name, but it's definitely not a good quarterback in the NFL name.
It's a replacement player name,
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's a guy who failed in college, when he was like you're supposed to.
Whoever made that, just like got it.
It not only fits the role, but it also fits the actor. Like Keanu Reeves, is a Shane Falco, and that also goes for Cap Rooney as his role and his Dennis Quaid as the actor. It's very close. I have like a fictional name bracket, and it was like 8 and 9 in the bracket, like that matchup. Like one because they both are QB, so I tried to like make it like that too. But
those two are good. I think if I was gonna add one in there, like quarterback, I would. Let me think. I would probably do what's his name from The Longest Yard? Oh my god.
It's something like 2 D's. Fucking.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Unless you mean the Adam Sandler quarterback or the Burt Reynolds quarterback.
No, the Adam Sandler quarterback
is Paul Crewe.
That's it. Paul Crewe.
Paul Crewe is a good one. Yeah. Paul Crewe is good.
Yeah.
Paul Crewe is good. I still probably would take Shane Falco or Cap Rooney over it, maybe because they're more football movies. Replacements and Longest Yard is close. Any Given Sunday is by far the most football movie. Some of the names in that movie are crazy too. Like Jim Brown's character, the coach, is like Montezuma Monroe or something crazy like that.
The coordinator, he's a beast for that.
Yeah.
He's and then Lawrence Taylor's coach. They have psycho shit in that movie.
Lawrence Taylor is like Shark something.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember, but it was like Shark.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great names in that. But yeah, more to come on these fictional athlete names. We got more Hotz corners with them coming, but yeah, I like Shane Falco over Caprioni. It's close, but it's very close.
Close.
They're both very good. That's why I wanted to get your opinion on it. And I also like the sports movies that are fictional almost more when the teams are fictional too.
For sure.
Like The Replacements and like Any Given Sunday.
League. It's not like a real league. Yeah.
It's like make it all the way fiction.
The Redskins or the Giants. They're using like something like
Shark. Like the Renegades. The stuff like that. But I don't know. It seems like let's go all the way fake or all the way real. Like I don't like when it's a fictional movie, but it's like the New York Giants in 2004, and it's like it doesn't even make sense. But,
yeah. It's only good in certain places, like if it's like based on like a real story or something like that. Like
that's what I'm saying. If it's based on a real
Vince Papali's movie type shit, that's cool. But
Winning Time, Friday Night Lights, all that stuff is good.
Cool.
But if you use fake names on a real team, I don't like that.
That's weird.
Like Eddie, with Oprah Winfrey, where she's the coach of the Knicks. It's all just random dudes. That sucks.
That's stupid.
All right. Well, then we got to what is more embarrassing, tripping and falling hard in a crowded room or farting loudly in an elevator? So my only argument against what you said would be like you could blame someone else in a crowded elevator or just keep your mouth shut. Like there's definitely, depending on what elevator you're in and what crowd of people you're among.
If you're in an elevator and you're around a crowd of people and you rip a fart, are you not going to laugh?
No. I'm going to try to fake that I didn't fart. And especially, let's just say any 10 random people.
Get that blend. That's a close blend.
In a room of a random 10 people, I feel like I'm not the most farter looking. If we're just taking any random 10, there's going to be one dude who's more heavy set than me, looks more like a farter than me.
I'm imagining myself farting in an elevator, and I'm just trying to think, this is uncomfortable, man.
Yeah. And also the elevator, even if you're I guess in a crowded room, depending on the situation, you're not going to leave. But in an elevator, you're actually trapped till you get to the next floor.
You kind of wait
sitting in a fart.
You're going to the top floor.
God forbid someone point you out and be like, do you just fart? And you either have to lie or be like, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's kind of tough.
And you got to look at somebody when everyone's looking around trying to figure out who smelled it. And you got to look at other people, and reconfirm to them that it wasn't you. You know what I mean? You got to look at them
yeah, I guess you're right. If you just try to look straight ahead, you look mad guilty.
Yeah, then you might have to so you kind of lay into the idea that it wasn't you, right? So you're looking around wondering
you just
everyone else.
The person who looks most likely to fart, and you just have to throw them under the bus.
You gotta bury the fart, though. That's what I mean when you have to play the part. You gotta bury the fart.
You want to hear? So when I was super little, I'm thinking this is a weird memory, but I vividly remember it. I remember it being first or second grade. And farting on because I remember I was this young because there were still the mats on the floor. You know what I'm talking about when you sit on your look.
The
ABC,
ABC's
numbers, maybe fucking zebras, animal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I remember that. So I farted, and I remember trying to sniff it up myself, thinking that if I sniffed up all the fart, no one else could smell it. So I tried to just to avoid the embarrassment of other people smelling my fart. I sniffed up my own fart.
Himself. Holy shit!
Yeah, because in my head I was scientifically this makes sense. There's only so much fart air, and if I sniff it all up, no one else will sniff it.
Get back here! Get back.
I didn't want to walk it because that would draw attention too. I was just I had a
you were smoking weed in a place that you're not supposed to be smoking weed, and you're just no.
I had a stuffy nose, pretending, just trying to I had the sniffles, but that was I just thought about that. I didn't even think about that when I wrote the question. I just thought about that now. But tripping and falling in a fucking room full of people, falling hard. I don't mean you kind of trip, catch yourself. I mean bang, you make a noise.
I'm not looking forward to it, but I can get through that.
I guess you kind of play it off, you know,
You
like
just
I'm
gotta
okay.
Kind of lay there
I'm
for
okay.
a second, like, what the
Or you
fuck
could be
is
like,
that?
I'm okay. You know, like
And you just be
everyone's like, are you okay?
Often, or just like
You're like, I'm okay. Your face just covered in blood because you smashed your head on a fucking glass or something.
side of a chair or something. You just slit your face. Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't want to say hurt. We're saying embarrassed. Like, what would like could potentially hurt you more? It's obviously
Maybe like
falling
you
than
fell
farting.
and you pulled a tablecloth and like this whole thing just went fucking down, like whatever's on the table.
Yeah, but if you fart in an elevator, just sniff it all up yourself, and then no one else can smell it. What two teams will be in the 2024-2025 season NBA Finals? You went originally Boston and Dallas. Boston and Denver. Then you pivoted to Boston and Dallas. I didn't ask you who was in the finals last year. You know, I asked you. I was just asking you who's in the finals this year.
Well, Minnesota
You
got weaker, and I don't believe the Lakers, and I don't think the Warriors have enough. Spurs are a nice team. OKC is a great team, but not better than Dallas. Luka's the best player in basketball, I would say right now, or one of two. On any given night, and Kyrie's a top 5 player. Clay is looking like he is in full form and doing his thing. They have good bigs, but Lively really learning how to play basketball a lot more than just what he was doing last year. He looks like he's really developing. We both like his game. I know you've spoken about Lively in the past.
Do you think that Clay's early season, first few games performances is sustainable over a full season?
I think if Kid does a good job of just controlling his minutes, controlling the back-to-back, like allowing him to stay in a rhythm but without exceeding the minutes, that's a fine line. There's going to be games that are close and they're going to want him out there. And they're going to be competing for wins. So, I'm sure that Kid will do his best, but at the end of the day, he's got to play, and the only way he's going to really get into that form to win a championship is by playing, because he really hasn't played a full season in a while. And so, I'm sure they expect the injury at some point, right? It's almost like one of those players, like they expect him to be out at some point for a month or two, and they're not really.
I would assume so. Just to get a real quick sidebar, if you will. So I was listening to an interview the other day, credit Part of My Take podcast. Paulo Banchero was on it. And Paulo Banchero made the statement, which I'm not trying to just regurgitate a Charles Barkley take here, but just, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Paulo Banchero said, fans don't understand how hard it is to play an 82-game season.
Right.
Give me a fucking break. I work 5 days a week the entire fucking year. Bust my ass, work hard. Everybody works. I get it. We're not professional athletes, but you're making a shitload of money. And it's not like Joel Embiid. It's not like Klay Thompson, these guys who are older, where like, all right, we got to manage minutes, this and that, like where it's almost like acceptable, but still fucking annoying. But Paulo Banchero, you're 22 years old. I used to fucking work 12-hour shift, go out for 8 hours, sleep 2 hours, and do it all over again when I was 22. I don't want to hear about how you're fucking tired playing a 48-minute fucking game with breaks. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson, another 22-year-old who on third down and goal needs a fucking break. Call the fucking huddle, you fucking clown. Like, take a break in the fucking huddle. You got 40 seconds in between plays.
I love that people coming to his defense, like some of these people coming into his defense, like in this new age, that he's like should be deserved a break. Like other guys get breaks, running backs, receivers get breaks. It's like you have no idea then how football works, so you shouldn't be in this sport, because as you can see, anyone that watches and knows football for the last every single year you've ever been on this planet and before you don't take out the quarterback. You don't ever take out the quarterback. The quarterback is supposed to be in control of the game. The quarterback is supposed to be controlling the line of scrimmage. The quarterback is the general. You never take out the general. The general doesn't just go home and go to sleep while there's a war. In the middle of a war, the general doesn't just leave the battlefield and just go home and just take a nap. What are you talking about? So
you like that. You like that general analogy.
Like it's just like it's so dumb. It's so dumb, and that's why he's been replaced for the entire season, because football people know better, and there are plenty of football people in that Colts locker room, I'm sure, that had a big fucking problem with that. And, that shit can't happen. It's not going to fly. Maybe come back next year. We'll see you next year. Unless Flacco gets hurt.
I heard Shannon Sharp say he should have just lied to the media. That would have been better. I mean, we see quarterbacks.
Just play into it. Why the fuck are you tapping your helmet, you idiot? And
we
then
see quarterbacks get hurt or get their helmet knocked off, and teams will take a timeout to make sure they could get in the next play, because legally they can't if their helmet comes off. Not only did he come out of the game, they didn't be like, all right, let's take a timeout to get him. They didn't even care that he came out of the game. They were like, let's just let Flacco play 3rd and goal from the 20 or whatever it was, because Richardson might turn it over. But to veer all the way back to the finals teams, that was a quick aside. I think that Boston.
One more thing, and by the way, the last thing on this Anthony Richardson bullshit, and we don't have to talk about it anymore, is that he could have in the presser afterwards said that he was woozy and he felt concussed, and he just felt like he was disassociated. He still doubled down. He was like, "Nah, I just needed a break. I was tired."
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He should have just lied. He could have said anything, but just to be like, "Yeah, I was just tired. I told Shane I was tired." I guarantee you, the Colts management are talking to him about that. That's just crazy to say. But yeah, I think the Colts are better off without him, at least for this season. Flacco still showed he can take teams to the playoffs, like the Browns last year.
One win last year with the Browns.
Exactly. And then, they have a solid team. They have weapons with Pittman and Taylor. Some of those younger receivers like Downs and Pierce are starting to show, and their defense isn't terrible. And, the Texans are good, but they're banged up. And that AFC South is kind of open for the taking, especially
tomorrow night. Maybe.
The
line's favoring the Jets 2-6. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, that seems trapped to me.
But
we'll see.
Getting back to the finals thing. I think Dallas's roster is really good. Boston, I want to say the Knicks, and Towns looked great tonight. He had 44-12 with a monster. Great win against the Heat against them, but. The Heat are inferior to the Knicks, but I think the Knicks are still inferior to the Boston Celtics, just like the rest of the fucking league. That's why they're undefeated. And I'm sure I didn't even check the box score for tonight, but
no, they lost tonight. But even in a loss, they were down 24 in the third quarter with 3 minutes left, and they came all the way back to force overtime. Tatum hit a 3 with 10 seconds left to drive the game to overtime, and also scored 36 points in regulation to get them there. I think because of how much you shitted on Jason Tatum and made me have to defend him, it's driven me to be a fan.
Yeah. Now you're total babyface with him now. It's totally.
Well, I'm on his side where I feel like he's gotten so much criticism that I'm
5 of 18 from 3.
I'm almost skewing my own take of I'm giving him more credit than he deserves because I feel like he gets bashed so much. But tonight, watching the end of that game, the way he closed that out to get them to overtime was very impressive. He started to show me do I think he's top 5? No. Do I think he's top 10? Certainly. No doubt about it. He's a baller, and even he had a great rebound to start overtime, flying through and grabbing a rebound on defense. I was all right, this guy is doing everything right now. But the Celtics are just very, very good. The Pacers played
really their. They didn't really rebound the ball well. That's why they had the issues in this game and why they were down so much. They also shot the ball poorly. Brown and Tatum combined were 21 of 55 in the field.
Well, but the thing about the Celtics is you have to almost gauge their field goal percentage on a 3-point percentage rather than a regular field goal percentage. They shoot 63s a game. They're going to have bad shooting nights that, will stop them from being maybe a kind of Golden State Warriors 73-9 team, but they're going to win 65 games minimum. They're dominant team. And to be realistic too, the Pacers played as good as they possibly could have played tonight, and the Celtics still pushed them to the brink. Went to overtime, lost by 3. The Celtics are that kind of team, so they're a wagon. They're the heavy. I'm sure a heavy betting favorite to make.
There's other teams that are playing well right now. I'm sure the Cleveland Cavalier fans maybe will watch this podcast at some point in the universe and hate on us because they're 5-0. But that's a nice start. But there's no way they would beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. There's no chance.
And the Sixers aren't. And the Sixers aren't doing anything.
They're discombobulated. It seems like Giannis and the Bucks aren't, I guess, there yet. They're 1-3 to start the season. They still haven't figured things out. Still haven't figured out
as long as Doc Rivers is the coach.
Always
I'm
terrible.
not. I have no confidence in
the
the
West. Is the Suns as well. Suns are still there.
Yeah, Suns. I think OKC you mentioned earlier. I really like OKC.
Suns more than OKC.
And OKC has someone's pick. I'm trying to remember right now. Oh God. But like with the potential to get like the number 1 pick and potentially Cooper Flag, which would be crazy going into next year. I'll remember later in the episode, but we'll keep it moving. But they have somebody's pick.
That's a glue guy. That's a guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a stud coming up. But we'll keep it moving. Funniest Will Ferrell acting performance or role?
Yeah.
You went with Anchorman.
Yeah. I've seen Anchorman and Old School. Both are hilarious.
Old School for sure. Step Brothers. My favorite, actually, Will Ferrell part in that movie when he's like earmuffs. When you say earmuffs, you could say whatever you want. Vince Vaughn's like shit, cock, fuck, and Will Ferrell's like, he's like balls, tits, ass. Like he just keeps going. He's like, and then Vince Vaughn's like, all right, don't have
here. You have to celebrate it. I love.
He goes, don't have a field day, Frank. That's what Vince Vaughn says. So funny.
Yeah.
But I love Anchorman. It was great when it first came out. I never saw Anchorman 2. I feel like people tell me it got a lot more hate than it should have. I should check it out. I probably will eventually. But I had some I had 2 like more obscure ones that I wanted to shout out where he's not like the main character, and that is first and foremost Zoolander.
Yeah.
Jakubim Mugatu and Zoolander is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, incredible.
Like I'm not just gonna quote all the lines, but if you haven't seen Zoolander, Will Ferrell and Zoolander is the best.
Yeah, Ben Stiller, it's ridiculous.
And probably more of you haven't seen the outtakes or bloopers from Zoolander, which are fucking hilarious.
I've seen
Will Ferrell. So there's one scene where like it's like talking about like the Hansel is so hot right now, but he like added extra to it, and he was like, it's like that Hansel is a hot little potato right now. It's just like, he just kept showing him do that line over and over again, like until I guess he landed on like.
Oh my god.
That Hansel is so hot right now, I think is where they landed, but it was like all the takes that like he was improvising, trying to find like what was the funniest. It was so funny.
Oh my god.
And then. And then one of my favorite part, well, I'll quote one more thing, I guess, is when he shows them the model for like the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good, and Ben Stiller's like, it's got to be at least 3 times bigger than this. And for like a whole school, it's like a model would have been like 5 feet, and then Will Ferrell stops and like looks around for a second. He's like, "You're absolutely right."
You're absolutely right.
He's like, "You're absolutely right." It was just so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the other one.
I'm trying to think of any others. I'm trying to think of others from him. Step Brothers.
The other one.
Yeah.
The other one where it was like more obscure was Eastbound and Down, where he's like the car dealer.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Nice shot.
With Danny McBride and fucking Craig Ferguson.
Long, man, what a great shot.
Oh my god, not Craig Ferguson, Craig Robinson. They're like fucking. He's like inciting the beef between them two. Mm-hmm. So fucking funny, so funny. Talladega Nights.
Oh yeah, he's standing between them, and they're talking to each other like right.
He's
in front
like,
of them.
"This is getting good. This is getting spicy."
Getting spicy. I think I've seen the outtakes of that scene as well, which are hilarious.
Oh,
if I'm not
so
mistaken.
funny.
They can't even they're just standing there, and Craig Robinson just keeps like breaking and laughing. It's hilarious.
Will Ferrell's too fucking funny, but yeah, we'll keep it moving.
He hates Will Ferrell. Oh my lord, dude. He thinks he's not.
I have a take on this show that's long-standing that I hate when Will Ferrell just pops up on like talk shows or this and that live shows.
Pop up, yeah, we've talked
as Ron Burgundy or as another character.
Yeah, when he pops up at the roast. Yeah,
and he doesn't just do it as Ron Burgundy; he does it as like other characters, like anyone but Will Ferrell. No, I didn't. I hated it. It's
oh my
annoying.
god!
All right, who is on your Mount Rushmore of San Diego Chargers? You went Tomlinson, Rivers, Seau, and Gates. I think that's the right one, man. I mean, shout out to the Dan Fouts, the Kellen Winslow Sr. Obviously, no shouting out Kellen Winslow Jr. He's a scumbag. Lance Allworth, is another Hall of Famer. There's a couple other guys.
I'm missing an offensive lineman. Maybe Neil, Lorenzen Neal. He's a legend. Fullback.
Yeah, great fullback. Sean Merriman, not quite there.
Good name, yeah. Light bulb, turn it off.
I'm trying to think who else. Charlie Joyner, I think, was a good receiver for them back. John Jefferson, but that was like the air. Don Coryell for coaches, the Air Coryell.
Keenan Allen. Maybe Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, sneaky. Vincent Jackson.
Vincent Jackson, good name. Probably made more love on Tampa, though.
I think he was probably better as a Charger, but we'd have to look into it. Keenan McCardell. Now we're just saying guys who played for the Chargers.
another Buck and Charger.
True. Eric, for your immaculate grids on Pro Football Reference.
Come on.
Eric Weddle.
Eric Weddle's a good name. Oh, who's another safety or a corner? Somebody. Chargers
corner.
Or safety, maybe. I think.
Donnie Edwards was a good linebacker.
Yeah, he was decent. I remember him.
But I honestly think your list is right, though. Antonio Gates, one of the greatest tight ends of all time. Definitely up there among pass catching tight ends. If you just want to go off of that, Dan Fouts.
Best receiving year of Vincent Jackson on Tampa or San Diego.
Last chance. I don't know. I would say his best receiving year was on Tampa, just because you're gloating.
That's right.
But
It's 1,300 yards. But he had 1,100 yards the year before for San Diego, and he was a Pro Bowler both years.
He probably had more good years with the Chargers, I would say.
More 1, 2, 3 years of over 1,000 yards with Tampa, and then 1, 2, 3 with the Chargers. But he played longer with the Chargers.
All right, so close. Either way, not a big deal.
Oh,
but then you said
really on it. Like, it was super close.
Yeah.
3-3.
Tomlinson obviously had the most touchdowns ever in a season. One of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yeah, he's got a staple. Got to be there. He's probably the first guy for sure, always.
Theo, obviously, absolute monster. I think he's he's the only one who can maybe push Tomlinson as the first guy. Mm-hmm. And then I think Rivers is right. I mean, the stats are there. He's got tons of yards, tons of touchdowns.
A lot of wins.
Some people might argue Fouts, but them two, I guess, are pretty close.
You got a ring, Fouts?
No, Chargers don't have a ring at all, so there's no really ring factor in this. Fouts, I think he was like almost like a Phillip Rivers of his time, like throwing for a lot of yards and touchdowns. Familiar. Like era-wise,
open throwing offense.
Great announcer too when he still was calling games. Dan Fouts, a lot of fun to listen to. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think your original list is correct. So we'll get into who is your favorite rapper in Dipset. I thought you were gonna say Jewels, but I think I had the same response as you. Like, I like Jewels, but you got to go with Cameron.
The albums are just like, you think about
Purple
the albums.
Haze.
Yeah, Purple Haze, Confessions. There's a lot of good albums. The stuff with Vado, Cam's got a lot of shit. So I feel like just in general, like Cam, like
Children of the Corn.
I feel like best verse, like maybe like the Jewels verse on that song with Lil Wayne is nuts. Ice Cream Hoodie, bathing ape tennis, no the interview. I'm gonna get the money. That whole song, that's Lil Wayne verse, I think, but that song, I forget the name of it.
Joel Santana was like, "Who am I? Who am I?
Yeah, who am I?
Yeah.
Classic.
Joel's is great. I mean, I agree with you, Cameron. You got
sure, yeah.
Cameron, you got to go with Children of the Corn, Big L, been out forever.
Sure.
He is kind of like the leader, too. But, yeah, Jewels is definitely up there. But Dipset in general, shout out to Hellrail, J.R. Writer. If you want to just go.
Shout out McGruff.
If you want to go. Irvin McGruff was Children of the Corn. But Dipset, shout out Hellrail.
That's what I was like, shout out McGruff and Murder Mace.
But I'm saying in Dipset, Hellrail,
Yeah.
J.R. Ryder.
Ricky Zeke.
J.R. Ryder had some.
J.R. Ryder was unbelievable in his prime. Too bad he couldn't stay out of jail. Who else?
I'm the writer of Ryder. What you mean? What you mean? J.R. Ryder, stupid. The heat of the team.
Yeah, he was nice. He could spit. Sure, he has.
I like J.R. Ryder, but no, I think Cameron's the right answer there too.
For sure. Jimmy's nice. Jimmy's nice. Got a shouts to Jimmy.
No, I don't. I
new
like
age
intentional.
Jimmy is actually way better. Like new age, like old school, like old head Jimmy. Actually, like his more recent stuff with Benny and stuff is good. Like some of the more recent stuff is good, but obviously his old stuff we only know him for "When You Fly."
I intentionally didn't shout out Jim Jones.
Why?
Because he's not good.
We Fly High was like, bro, Giants won the Super Bowl. You mad about it? We fly high. Oh, you know it.
Yeah, you probably could have named one other song he did.
Man.
So, what call in sports that you currently can't replay do you think should be reviewable?
Oh, I said strike three.
So,
Strike three? Here's all right. Preface it. Strike three after the 7th inning.
Are you aware of the minor league challenge rule right now?
Perfect.
Why is that not in Major League Baseball?
Oh no!
It takes 2 seconds. They just tap their helmet.
Right?
They just tap their helmet and then they go to the K zone, which we all see on our TVs, and they say if it's a strike or not. And it's it could even be egregious. It could even be ones that are just
union. And these umps don't want to get showed up. These old school punk ass umps don't want to.
I mean, you still would need the umpire to do the shit and call slides and shit.
In their head. You don't even fucking need me, you know.
Yeah, but but they're already doing it in the minors. My point being is I guess the only thing that I would dislike about it is I also am a strong proponent of too close to take. I hate hitters that
agree.
Take the balls just outside the zone.
Yes.
And then get mad when they get struck out, and it's that's too close to take. You got to try to foul it off. You got to,
bro.
Yeah.
I know This is really how people. If you're trying to identify whether people are baseball heads or not, this is the shit where you're talking about the ump, and I'm talking about the batter. I'm talking about what you learned from grade school, which is to protect the plate. And where does all that go? And the fundamentals of the baseball game go. And it's if you talk to any big league hitter who actually knows what's going on, like Derek Jeter or anybody that's real, or Manny Ramirez or any of these guys, they're going to tell you that on 2 strikes, no matter where that fucking pitch is, if you think it's anywhere close, you better get your bat onto it and see another day. That Soto at bat where he hits the home run, obviously against the Indians, we can go to that at bat. It's perfect. He's fucking getting to every ball against Gaddis. The pitches are impossible. He's getting to them every time just to keep the fucking bat alive. And as soon as he gets one to hit, he crushes it. So
that's the only thing I don't like about that challenge shit. It's all right, so there's going to be a pitch that's a fucking razor's edge off the plate that the pitcher just missed but was called a strike, and now they're going to overturn that when it's when it actually is a great pitch, and they're going to get penalized for it because it's barely off the I almost want to say it has to be now we're getting so semantical about it, but still it's it's got to be at least 2 inches off the plate or something like that.
I don't even think it should be a challenge. I just think that it should be a buzz where someone buzzes when that call was incorrect. Simple. There is no challenge. Someone buzzes the guy when the call was incorrect.
It's that'll happen so many times. It'll happen.
They decide. They decide.
I kind of like the challenge where it's you probably have a limited number of them a game, because I do like replay, but I don't like when replay starts to mess with the rhythm of the game. Where it's if they're every 3rd strike now, okay, we got to wait for the buzz before we do anything. You know what I mean? What if the guy needs to look at it twice to make super sure? It's whatever. But
he thought he felt a buzz because it's an everlasting feeling as he feels the buzz, and then he thought he was
waiting for a buzz. I like the
he switches the call, and they're like, "No buzz again, switch it back."
Yeah, I like the challenge where it's all right, a few times a game, whatever, 3, we'll say, challenge a ball or strike 3 times a game.
Can't do it in the first 6 innings.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, what if you're in the 1st inning and bases loaded, 3-2 count, and it's a clear ball and they call it a strike. Yeah. You know, it's I think it like I said 3 times a game, and then it becomes like fun strategy, like manager. Like almost like deciding whether or not to go for it on 4th down. Where it's like, do I want to use my challenge this early in the game and only get 3? I might waste them before a bad pitch late in the game. Like now, it becomes a new strategic thing within baseball that's fun to like either call out a manager for doing wrong or compliment a manager for doing right, kind of thing. But then like they can't have the benefit of the K zone. There's a lot that goes into it, but they should find a better system.
Definitely, they need a better system. I mean, sooner than later, I'm sure they'll figure one out.
And that's exactly what I was thinking when I wrote the question. So no need to really talk about other things. I mean, we could get into like pass interference that hasn't worked before, shit like that. But and penalties in general, like the Vikings game a few weeks ago is a perfect example.
Yeah,
of
that
like,
pass interference that wasn't called.
No, the face mask on Sam Darnold in the end zone.
Right.
The safety that the defender literally went like this because he knew he did it, and they didn't call it. It was one of the worst.
He ran away
I've ever seen.
He was guilty. It was nuts. I saw that.
Yeah, one of the worst no calls I've ever seen. But keep it moving. If you could have a beer with a current New York Giant, who are you taking? You went with Tyrone Tracy Jr. Barely old enough to have a beer, probably.
Get the Rook in there. We're gonna sneak him into the bar if he's not 21. Likely he is.
No, I think he is. But
yeah, he definitely is.
Very over.
No, he's a great running back. He's on my fantasy team. I'm gonna need him going forward. I gotta be honest. Losing Jordan Mason, so relying on the young buck, which is weird for me because I'm a Giants fan and I don't usually like relying on my own players. So he already has a concussion since I've, kind of leaned into him as being one of my top dogs. He's in concussion protocol at the end of that game last week for no reason after they blew the game once again. Daniel Jones throws interceptions when it's crunch time, So, Tracy hopefully will continue to get the ball, which is great. And they have a good line for running the ball. Actually, their offensive line is actually.
But I feel like you probably know nothing about his personality. Like, you're just basing this off like who you want to do good in fantasy. Like
100%.
Is there anybody that like
the Giants are dead? I can go get food with neighbors. Yeah, that's cool. But Tracy Jr.'s a rookie too. He'll be the next face of the team. You know what I'm saying? It's Tracy Jr. season, and the kid's nice. He's had 300 games with us. Like, kid's nice.
I like Dexter Lawrence. He's fucking ridiculously good.
He's great.
And he's fucking big and probably funny.
Nasty, yeah.
Dexter Lawrence, it's hard to win D tackle and defensive player of the year. But if you watch the tape, bro, I was watching like all 22 footage of him.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes today, just going through
ruins
clips.
People. He ruins guys.
The Steelers tried to triple team him, and he fucking went through 3 guys and fucking disrupted the play. It was insane. He split the fucking guard in the center, and then whoever was playing running back at the time tried to step up, and he fucking it was Warren. It was Jalen Warren, and he fucking mutilated him. It was crazy. Like he took the center. He takes the center and tried to block him one-on-one. He took him off his feet and threw him into Russell Wilson. It was crazy. He's a ridiculously good player, wasting away on the Giants. But moving on, fucking Tyrone Tracy probably doesn't even drink beer.
Tracy Jr. He's gonna have a Stella.
What is the best weapon that existed before gunpowder? So, glad you said bow and arrow, because I was like, it has to be a distance weapon. If you were going to say, like, sword, I would have been like, what are you, a fucking mongoloid? So bow and arrow is good. I thought about also, like, catapults, trebuchets, like, shit like that.
Pretty good, yeah. Launchers,
like fucking take people out from deep, and like if there's like a formation, go fling it
have
into
those
the middle.
Lined up, ready to go. And there's like signals and shit like that. You're timing
you can kill like 20 people, fucking depending on that shit.
At least, yeah, for sure. Injure a lot.
But obviously, bow and arrow or a crossbow is better if like you have like one target in mind that you like need to take out.
You just like get a bunch of guys up into a bunch of trees, and you're just up there with bows and arrows. And you're just about to fucking sink guys as they're coming through the fucking forest. So.
Yeah, the only thing about bow and arrows is like we saw it in like 300, where like they could get into formations with shields and like block them, and
but still they get wiped out. 300 at the end of the movie, they get wiped out, isn't it?
Yeah, but they were up against like 10,000 dudes. If they had like 5,000 Spartans against like 5,000,
if they didn't have the bow and arrows, they wouldn't have got wiped out so fast. They would have all charged through.
Well, they didn't get wiped out fast. They were for like 3 days. If the story is, if the legend is true. The legend is true. They fucked up a lot more people than fucked up them. They killed probably like
for sure
2,000 people. They killed thousands before they died. But no, I'm glad you picked distance. If you said something like axe, I would have been so mad. So bow and arrow is good. Crossbow would have been better.
Crossbow is good too. That's a good one.
And like I said, I like the fucking the trebuchet and catapult.
Little nunchuck.
It's funny because nunchucks might have came out after gunpowder.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. I have no idea, to be honest. Fucking ninja stars, all that shit. But I think that's our last Hotz Corner question.
We'll wrap
summed
it
up.
I know it's 1:11 a.m. on the East Coast then. So
yeah, late. You got any victories?
Little victories. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm at 8% on my computer, so we'll quickly do this. So, quick victories this week, I would say. Shout out to Deontay Johnson going to the Ravens and becoming now a superstar in the making with Lamar Jackson and company, and maybe helping Zay Flowers a little bit get the number one cornerback off of him so he can go eat. A lot of people think that this will hurt his value. I'm not one of those guys. I'm a football guy, and I actually believe that when good players go play with good players, everyone eats because you can't guard everyone, and good quarterbacks are going to find you. So Lamar is a good quarterback, so that's just the way it's going to be.
I think if anything, and more take away from Bateman, who's had a good start to the season, than
we had a
probably
bad
Zay
drop
Flowers.
last week. Horrible
drop.
drop.
In the sun. Yeah, that was a tough spot.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think I got to give credit to Schefter. He pointed out that looking at the contract, Deontay Johnson's in a contract year.
Yep.
If he performs to certain numbers, then the Ravens will actually wind up with a better draft pick than what they traded for him.
Yeah.
Due through a compensatory draft pick from letting a free agent with certain statistics walk away.
Like a 5th or something like that?
No, so they traded a 5th and they got back a 6th and
Right.
Deontay Johnson. If Deontay Johnson were to hit certain wide receiver metric numbers,
That 6 becomes a 5th?
and no, they get an additional. They keep the 6th, and they get an additional compensatory draft pick. When you lose a player in free agency in the NFL, you get what's called
what round do they
compensatory
get it?
picks.
Yeah,
It's
I get
like
what you mean.
it'll be a 3rd or a 4th.
Wow.
So they might wind up with a 3rd and a 6th for a 5th and a rental Deontay Johnson.
Right.
Or maybe it plays tremendous and they re-sign him. But this is like, and again, this is to credit Adam Schefter. I didn't know this when the trade was made. Adam Schefter brought this out. But this is the type of thing that good organizations do. They make a move for the present that also could potentially benefit the future, and just play the cap and the rules and the guidelines of the league. Very, very smart. So shout out to the Ravens.
Moves, trying to win the championship. They see DeAndre Hopkins get swept up by the Chiefs. They're like, all right, we'll see you and raise you Deontay Johnson, and we'll meet you there. And, Buffalo loading up with Amari Cooper. These teams are loading up, trying to go for a ring. And we'll see what's what in terms of who's going to be there in the end. Houston's got a lot of work to do. They have a big game tomorrow night against the Jets, who are dead, essentially, and favored in the game. Quickly, who are you picking in that game before my computer dies? I got literally probably 2 minutes right now, not even a minute.
All right, real quick. I got the Texans tomorrow night, but I will say also real quick, I don't think there's going to be any more big splashes before this trade deadline. I just don't see anybody else out
Smith
there.
is going to go somewhere.
That's the only one. I was going to bring that up was because I don't see Crosby or Myles Garrett. Zadarius Smith is the only one from the Browns. They already traded Cooper. And then last thing before we sign off, Army had a bye this week, so no shout out to the Army quarterback Bryson Daly this week. And then lastly, sorry, I'm trying to bring this up, but they played Notre Dame, who did smoke Navy on November 23rd. That's the Army Notre Dame game. Write it in your calendar. Don't miss it. Calling it now. Army
Sixers.
with the points.
Hotz heads, Dreamers, take Army with the points against Notre Dame. Shout out. It's a pleasure. Keep it locked.
Peace.
I'm taking the Jets. Go Jets.
All right.
Fuck it.
Go Texans, I guess.
They're going to lose. The Jets are going to lose.